So TikTok is doing strange things again, but it won't stop me. I downloaded a video, you cannot see the video, and they removed some comments which are not doing harm to anyone. But it won't stop me. These videos are quite tough for me because I have these traumas I'm talking about, but it also works like therapy. And as I told you, I was 7 years when we stayed for 9 months at this hotel in Lugano in Switzerland. Lugano, I now know, is a wealthy city with bankers. And the owner at the time was Marco Tronchetti Provera. He's a well-known rubber mogul, and he has good ties with Nicole Kidman. Look up or search for the last story about her father, which is kind of strange. But also he has connections to Bill Gates, he's friends with them, and Rockefellers. Nasty. But he's not my boss, and I will tell the truth. He also taught me swimming. He gave me swimming lessons, and he almost drowned me several times. Like he was trying to teach me a lesson. That he looked like me like he was saying, I am the boss, but he's not. And I always thought the abuse started at this hotel where I was abused, brainwashed, programmed. But the abuse started at a much earlier age. While I'm talking about my traumas, everything comes back. When I was 3, I stayed at hospital for a few days, and my mother always tried to convince me I had this rare brain influenza. But now I know, because it's always stayed so vividly in my recollection, I couldn't understand. It was so strange. She was telling me something different than I can remember, because I remember I had this severe, extremely pain in my private part. Like they had put knives into my private part. I screamed and I yelled. It was awful. And I also remember this nightmare. I never understood what my brain was telling me, but after 40 years, I now understand. When I was 13 years old, I didn't really have a dream like a nightmare, but I had a real nightmare. I was aware what they were doing to me. Although I was drugged, how I know I was drugged, because I remember several times I got tired of the dinner and my mother said I had to go to bed, and I went upstairs lying on my bed with my clothes on, and I couldn't move anymore. The room was turning, my tongue went thick, and I had this bitter taste in my mouth, and everything went black. But one time, I was aware what they were doing. I was tied up in this nightmare to a hospital bed. 2 men were carrying me in this isolated building. Everything was dark, but further on there was light, and there was a pay desk with a lady on it. I never understood what I was telling myself, but a pay desk. Next to it, there were these figures in black hooded capes. They were making sounds I couldn't understand, but also at the same time, I saw these big flowers with faces, and they were doing these sounds. They were excited, like, but now I know, because I saw this conversation from this YouTuber, Sean Edward, with Mr. Wong, that these are sounds they make during SRA, satanic ritual abuse. And these were satanic occult ritual sounds they were making. And because I saw these flowers, it reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. Because Alice in Wonderland ate or drank something and she fell asleep. So she must have been drugged too. And she fell in this rabbit hole with this strange story, with all these strange, awkward figures. And I saw this pay desk. These flowers were on this desk. And they put me on this desk too. And they started being more excited. And I was so anxious. I wanted to scream and move, but I couldn't. And we started moving, and we were falling down. And I saw this black male boots. And behind these black male boots, was this black hole, and I didn't want to fall in it. But at the same time, I heard this dark, evil male voice calling my name, Helene. And then I fell in it, and everything went dark. And now I understand what my brain was telling me. They sold me. I was bought. But you never, ever can buy my soul. They always try to convince me they ruined my soul, how do you say that? My innocence. But they never did. They never can take your innocence. And I must also have been hypnotized. I had this therapist last year, and she tried to convince me that I needed hypnotizement. But I didn't want to be hypnotized because that remembers me of my own drugged, hypnotized moments when I was younger. And that also reminds me of Marc Dutroux. I saw Marc Dutroux last summer, 2024, in Delft when I was sitting in this cafe, and they came in with his friends, Michelle. I'm sure, watch my video. Some of you tell me he is not free, but he did his jail time. He must have done, or he was on parole, I don't know. But it was Marc Dutroux, and it reminds me of Sra Trauma. He's a famous Dutch hypnotizer, and he was also working with the government during the lockdowns.